Hello, VMMA team. Thank you for joining us for this presentation of the 3 keys to nutrition and wellness. We are happy to be with you and share these keys with you. We decided to record this presentation for you and post it on the YouTube channel for those who couldn't make it on the presentation evening, or if those who did make it want to review. First and foremost, this has been a really strange time for all of us, and I think that it's important to validate your feelings. If you're struggling to keep your routine or make progress on your goals, if you are struggling with your emotions, which is affecting your behaviors, it's okay. You're not alone in these feelings or actions, and we will all get through this together. And with that, let's talk a little bit about us. So we are Empower Nutrition and Wellness, a nutrition and lifestyle company that utilizes a multi-therapy approach to help you change behavior and manage your lifestyle. We specialize in disordered eating, sports nutrition, and overall wellness management, as well as one-on-one personal training, Reiki, and yoga therapy. We have several dietitians and professionals, as you can see, that specialize in these different areas. One of the areas that I mentioned is disordered eating. And while we do work with many individuals who have clinically diagnosed eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia, disordered eating can and does impact many. Disordered eating includes those behaviors of living that diet mentality, going from fad diet to fad diet, only to find that restraint is associated with poor weight management and a negative relationship with food. Our goal is to help you identify and change your eating behaviors and physical activity patterns, help you recognize environmental triggers, gain stimulus control, and incorporate mindful and intuitive eating techniques. We want to help you find your road to a well-nourished life and live without limitation. Alexa and I are also here as your nutrition coaches at VMMA, and if we have time at the end, we can talk a little bit about our services. For those of you who haven't seen me around the dojo before, I am Coach Andrea. All those letters after my name just mean that I'm a professional student and I have lots of student loans. Kidding aside, I do have a bachelor's degree in nutrition science, a master's in clinical nutrition, which focuses on disease states and the nutrition therapy for those states. And I'm currently pursuing a doctorate in behavioral health, which I feel really provides me with a well-rounded approach to nutrition and lifestyle management. Alexa has our bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics and a master's degree in sports nutrition and exercise science, a focus on how to integrate the physiology of exercise and nutrition to understand how these fields impact human performance, overall health, and disease. Now, through our schooling, research, and experiences, we have found that there are 3 main keys to achieving and maintaining wellness. The World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or illness. To achieve that state of health, we believe in these 3 main components: self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-care. And we're going to talk about each of these in depth over the presentation. If you're taking martial arts classes at VMMA, I'm sure your self-awareness and self-confidence has improved greatly just from this practice. But we hope to share some other tips here on how to improve your health and wellness with these concepts. Now, there are many definitions of self-awareness, but I think the former author Debbie Ford said it best. She said, it's the ability to take an honest look at your life without making any judgments as to whether it was right, wrong, good, or bad. So it's the ability to embrace your actions, your behaviors, emotions, and make the decision to move forward in a different way. So outside of practices such as martial arts, how do we build self-awareness? First, we need to understand why we want to change and if we're ready to change. And we can do this through building our own personal mission statement. You can develop this why statement by understanding your inspiration, your priorities, developing core values, and looking back at lessons you've learned over time. There's a wonderful book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. In this book, he describes that sometimes you need to change your identity to achieve your goals. For example, I want to run a marathon is something I hear a lot from clients. Great, well, you can't just wake up the day of the race and expect to do well. You have to have a plan. You have to become a runner. What's involved in that? What will you do to get there? Once you've become the runner with all that's involved in that practice, then you can build upon that and eventually run the marathon. So we need to understand why we want to change, what we want to become, and how we're going to get there. Next, are you ready? There is a trans-theoretical model to assessing your level of readiness, and there are 5 stages. Pre-contemplation is the first stage, and in this stage, you're usually uninformed about the consequences of your behavior, or you may have failed at previous attempts to change. You may avoid seeking information that would help you change your behavior. In the contemplation stage, this person intends to change within the next 6 months. Maybe they're aware of both the positive effects and the negative effects of change, and this can cause some uncertainty as to which approach to follow and result in procrastination and the inability to make a move to change. So this person is not really ready for an action program. In the preparation stage, you plan to take action maybe within the next month. You have usually prepared a plan of action and are moving towards that action. And in the action stage, the person has made significant modifications in his or her behavior and way of life. And then finally, the maintenance phase. That person is not necessarily working as hard as the person in the action mode, but they're working to prevent a relapse. The person is confident about continuing to make changes. Sometimes we may have a setback and we have to reassess where we are in these stages of readiness. Perhaps you have to further prepare by seeking out more resources before you can take further action. And sometimes these stages can be goal specific. So perhaps your goal is to drink more water, and maybe you're in the action phase for that. You're already trying and drinking more. But in the case where the person wanted to run a marathon, maybe there's more research that needs to be done. Maybe you need to seek out a coach, someone that can help you, someone that can train you. So you can be in different stages based on the goal. Figuring out where you are may also require you to understand what kind of eater you are. I think it's weird to think that our eating has its own personality, but 2 dietitians pioneered the way to understand our bodies and eating habits. They are Evelyn Tribal and Elise Resch. They identified these eating personalities to help you become more self-aware of your baseline. The careful eater may anguish over every morsel of food allowed in the body, scrutinize food labels, interrogate the waiter at the restaurant about what's in the food, how is it prepared. The professional dieter goes from fad diet to fad diet, reading every diet book there is, jumping on every diet trend, often falling into the restrict and then binge cycles, otherwise known as disordered eating. The unconscious eater lacks mindfulness, often multitasking while eating, not being intentional, grabbing whatever's available and not paying attention to how much or what they're putting into their bodies. The intuitive eater is very tuned into their body cues, listening to hunger signals and eating without feelings of guilt. There are multiple subcategories of these 4 personalities, and you might fall into more than one category based on the environment. But figuring out where you are can help you move forward in achieving your goals. Additionally, to move forward with our wellness goals, we need to reject the diet mentality that society has forced us to buy into. We need to throw out those diet books and magazine articles that have offered false hope of losing weight quickly, easily, and permanently. We need to stop labeling ourselves as fat, skinny, big boned, etc. We need to stop classifying foods as bad or good and cutting out food groups. Allowing this type of hope to linger that a new and better diet might be lurking around the corner will prevent you from rebuilding your intuition and fully building that mind-body connection. Diet culture oppresses those that don't fit into this perfect picture of health. It uses exercise as a punishment for eating or uses certain foods as rewards. It tells us that we need to detox and cleanse and use immune boosting supplements and to reset our gut in order to improve our health. Especially during this uncertain time, there has been a lot of conflicting information out there, especially on social media, about what you should be doing to, quote, beat the virus. The only way to build a healthy immune system is to have consistent, healthy habits. It's not just what you do today, but what you do consistently over time. So loading up on additional supplements right now is not going to help. Currently, there are no cures for COVID-19. The FDA has been monitoring and warning companies with fraudulent claims about their products. Sometimes, often, supplements are not regulated by any organization, and anything that is currently being offered as a cure may be potentially life-threatening. Additionally, a pandemic is not the time to decide to start dieting. Limiting nutrients and food groups on purpose can have serious side effects. As babies, we only have our intuition. We have a feeling in our bellies and signal to our caregivers that we need to be fed. But as we grow, we start to allow rules and schedules, opinions of how and what to eat dictate our lifestyle, and we begin on this unsustainable roller coaster. During this time of being safe at home, we're now struggling to keep those schedules and rules that we've set for ourselves. And we're inundated with social media opinions of what and how we should eat. So now is not the time to start dieting, but it is the perfect time to start tuning back into our bodies and understanding our hunger cues. Do you suffer from constant cravings, especially during this time? Perhaps this is because your body is not being fueled correctly with the right balance of macro and micronutrients. You need to keep your body fed with adequate energy, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Otherwise, you can trigger cravings and a primal drive to overeat. So let's now dive into a description of hunger. Hunger can be measured using a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being completely famished, lightheaded, headaches, nausea. Think about when a diabetic has low blood sugar. 10, on the opposite end of the scale, is when you're so completely full that you're keeled over, you can't move. Think Thanksgiving dinner. Staying somewhere in the middle levels, like 4 through 6, can help curb overeating and even undereating. And understanding where you're truly hungry or just bored can help us make better decisions. Emotions, stress, and hormones can wreak havoc on our relationship with food. So self-awareness can help you make better decisions. How many of you out there find you eat for reasons outside of hunger? Boredom, sadness, stress, illness. We can build our self-awareness in this area by utilizing tools such as food journals. Food journaling can help us understand what we are eating, why we're eating it, when we're eating it. It can help us identify patterns. When we food journal, we need to be intentional. It can be a tedious task, but the information gathered can really open up your eyes. We don't just keep track of food, calories, and nutrients. The numbers are actually not as important as our mood when we eat, or hunger and fullness levels at those times. Understanding what triggers we had, whether they're emotional or environmental, and also how did you handle those triggers? So what are you eating and what are you taking in? And Alexa's going to talk about that now.
Thank you, Andrea. So now we're going to take a deeper dive into our macronutrients here. We have our carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So first off, for carbohydrates, so often carbs get a horrible reputation, but we should really talk nicer about them because they are fuel for us. Carbohydrates are our body and brain's main source of energy, and this is especially true for athletes like yourselves. They are also used to maintain function in the body. Carbohydrates will help you maintain intensity so that you stay energized longer. It also helps maintain muscle and prevents them from breaking down. So often we associate protein with muscles instead of carbohydrates, but without carbs, our muscles must break down protein to use for energy because we don't have enough carbohydrates available, resulting in more sore and weak muscles. Also, carbohydrates help your cells hold on to water better, and being hydrated is crucial to your ability to sustain yourself during your workout and throughout the day. If you aren't getting adequate carbohydrates, you will also likely be dehydrated. So for athletes specifically, there are carbohydrate sources that will give you energy quickly and ones that will give you energy but will be stored for a later use. We need both of these, but the amount do vary from time to time. The carbohydrates that provide a quick source of fuel are more often of your white or refined grains. Now, these are usually ones that are talked about negatively, but if you choose your sources wisely, they can be very beneficial. These are your go-to foods right before your workouts so that energy is readily available, and right afterwards to help replenish your energy stores because so much was just lost. And sometimes during for those endurance athletes. White or refined pastas, rice, bread, or crackers have had the fiber and other nutrients taken out during the refining process. Now, this may not seem like the best thing at first, but because of this, it does not take a long time for these type of carbohydrates to be broken down at all, so our body can use them much faster. Pretzels, sports drinks, applesauce, and yes, products with sugar such as fruit snacks contain carbohydrates that are broken down quickly, so these would be ideal too. All right, so now you're probably thinking, okay, well, I'm eating these sources for energy, but I need the other nutrients too. Well, this is where your fiber-rich carbohydrates like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables come in. You want to consume these at your meals and not necessarily close to workout times. So these may include oats, whole grain breads, rice and pasta, granola, as well as fruits and vegetables, especially with the skin. Overall, when carbohydrate intake is too low, energy levels, strength, stamina may suffer, and your chances for poor performance and injury go up. Next up, we have protein. And when you think of protein, you want to think structure. Protein plays a major role in keeping our body functioning and nourished so that we can perform at our best. Protein makes up tissues, including muscles. It makes up enzymes so our body can facilitate reactions and processes such as metabolizing food. It makes up hormones, which are your body's messengers, and makes up antibodies for our immune system. And that's just to name a few. So protein are made up of amino acids, and think of it sort of like a building block. So think of a big stack of blocks as a protein, but each block is in an amino acid that contributes to the protein in its entirety. Protein is most efficiently used when consumed throughout the day rather than all at once. Ideally, give your body 4 to 5 separate doses of protein throughout the day. Have a source of protein with every meal or snack. Sources include meat, poultry, seafood, dairy, eggs, tofu, and nuts. Protein also takes longer than carbohydrates to digest and can help you feel fuller for longer, and this helps support a healthy weight. Our last macronutrient that we have is fat, and contrary to what society tells us, fat is essential and is required in order for athletes who are striving for quality performance. Like carbohydrates and protein, it serves plenty of functions within the body that make us better athletes. These include maintaining our body temperature, supporting our immunity, protecting our organs, facilitating nerve transmission, helping vitamins get absorbed, and also provides energy for long-term, low-intensity aerobic workouts such as walking, a light jog, or a laid-back bike ride. Now, fats often also get a bad rep because people are associating only saturated fats with them rather than unsaturated fats. So what do these terms even mean? Your unsaturated fats are found in foods like olive oil, canola oil, and peanut oil, nuts, avocados, fatty fish, eggs, and seeds. These help to lower cholesterol and blood pressure. More specifically, a branch of unsaturated fatty acids called omega-3s are linked to reducing inflammation, supporting brain health, and even decreasing concussion risk. And when you are doing martial arts, something may happen and concussions are entirely possible. Now for saturated fats, these foods include some dairy foods, fatty cuts of meat, chicken skin, margarine, deep fried foods, and plenty of baked goods. Yes, many of these foods are delicious and perfectly okay to have occasionally or in small amounts, but too much of these increase your cholesterol, your risk of heart disease, and inflammation. And while genetics are not completely telling of our health, they do play a major role. So if you know that heart disease runs in your family, you want to keep an especially close eye on how you balance saturated fats versus unsaturated fats. The overall rule here, choose unsaturated fats more often than saturated fats. Too little fat may contribute to low energy levels, compromised immune systems, irregular menstrual cycles, and nutrient deficiencies. While too much fat may contribute to not enough carbohydrates and protein, too much weight gain, and other health issues. So here are some general recommendations for those doing martial arts pretty consistently. And keep in mind, if you are not participating in martial arts like you used to from this COVID-19 shutdown, and your amount of exercise has gone way down, you are going to need way less than this. If you are sitting around a lot more but still eating what you used to, it is very likely you will put on some unwanted weight. So that's when eating mindfully becomes important. For those who are participating in martial arts, you will need about 5 to 7 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight per day. For protein, you'll need about 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, and then the rest of your calories should consist of mainly those healthy fats. And I'm sure all of you have heard the 8 cups of water per day, but it varies based on the person. So your daily water consumption should actually equal about half your body weight in fluid ounces. So for example, if you are 100 pounds, you need 50 ounces of water per day. And you can definitely figure these calculations out on your own based on the recommendations here. But but it can become difficult to break down, which is why having a dietitian on your side, like Andrea and me, can be very helpful, since this is what we are trained to do. Now, keep in mind, these are overall general guidelines, and while we don't want to focus wholly on these numbers, use these more as a guide to understand your baseline and track on what Andrea said was talking about, like your mood, triggers, and hunger cues. So here we are going to take a look at how we should time these nutrients around exercise so that we get the most benefit from them. So before exercising, carbohydrates are going to be your focus. And as we learned earlier, this is because we need to increase our energy availability, especially. Secondly, you can include small amounts of protein during your pre-train meal because this helps reduce muscle soreness after you are done. And you also want to choose foods that are low in fat and fiber because these, along with exercising, can upset your stomach. So this will vary a bit related to your individual needs and your training conditions, but generally 1 to 4 hours before exercise, you want to consume more of a meal. So for example, turkey and cheese sandwich with fruit, or oatmeal with a banana and almonds. And then 30 to 60 minutes before exercise is when you should have something that is more of a snack size. So maybe some pretzels, crackers, or applesauce. So this snack here focuses mainly on carbohydrates. Next, we have nutrient timing during exercise. Now, this isn't always necessary. This step is only recommended if you are training for a long time, so more than 60 minutes. So for endurance exercises, if your class is only for an hour, you probably don't need to fuel with food during, but if you need to, carbohydrates will be crucial because this is going to make sure your energy stores don't run out. Aim for about 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour, and then begin fueling within 15 minutes of those long over 60-minute workouts. This could look like granola bites, a fruit puree pouch, energy gels and chews, or even a sports drink. The key is for this to be easy because you are training during this time, so it needs to be fast. These sources are easily digested, absorbed, and will get you the carbohydrates your body needs quickly. For fluids, you want to start off well hydrated, but then keep consuming fluids often. And for after your workout, you want to focus on recovery. You want to consume carbohydrates to replace what was depleted during exercise and restore fluid and electrolytes that was lost through sweat. This is especially important if you're in warmer environments. Also, protein becomes a key player here. You want to consume a high-quality protein to aid in repair of damaged muscle tissues and to stimulate protein synthesis so that your muscles can become stronger. And get this nutrition in you, whether as a meal or a snack, pretty soon after training wraps up, so within about an hour afterwards. Good post-workout ideas are a smoothie with milk, spinach or kale with frozen fruit, or graham crackers with peanut butter, low-fat chocolate milk with a banana, or as a meal, maybe a veggie omelet with whole wheat toast and apple slices, or a rice bowl with beans, cheese, salsa, avocado, and whole grain tortilla chips. It's good to plan ahead and keep some recovery fuel readily available in your bag for when your workout is done. And now I'm going to pass it back over to Andrea to discuss the need for change.
Thank you so much, Alexa. So we have all these tools to help build our self-awareness, and now we need to take this information and build our self-confidence to achieve this need for change. One way to help build self-confidence is by setting goals. Goals need to be sustainable, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. When setting goals, we can't just state the goal. We need to lay out our strategy, action steps we're going to take, possible barriers that may get in our way. Once we create our goals, we can follow our habits utilizing tools such as a journal, a basic calendar, etc. This can also help us to identify patterns as before. When you have a day that you didn't complete the tasks associated with meeting your goal, write down what happened. Is it an isolated incident? Perhaps you had a cold, perhaps you had an emergency, but other times you might find that every time you had a bad day at work, you didn't complete your task. Or maybe every time you woke up late, you didn't have time to prepare your breakfast. Perhaps you need to readjust your tasks and routines, such as preparing your breakfast the night before. Habit tracking can help you identify where you need to make small adjustments and can help build your confidence by showing you that when everything was aligned, you were able to complete the tasks, and show you that just by making simple changes, you can keep yourself on track. So how else can we build confidence when we encounter challenges and barriers? It wouldn't be life if we didn't experience obstacles. All right, so you had a bad day. We all have bad days. But dwelling on it is only going to contribute to self-sabotage. So we need to embrace that sadness, frustration, but then move on. If you're having difficulty moving forward, using self-affirmations can help you persevere. Using positive self-talk out loud can help change the dynamic. Look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I have the power to control my thoughts. I am confident I can achieve my goal. However big the mountain, I will climb it. I am the only one who can determine my self-worth. I choose a positive and growth mindset. You can also choose to write these down and keep them in a place you will see them every day. You should do this with your personal mission statement too. If you ever have doubts, go back to why you are doing this. It can help motivate you and give you the confidence boost that you need. Now, I have never been quiet about my struggle with anxiety. Recently, during a panic attack, I contacted my go-to person for support who guided me through positive self-talk. I had never utilized this method for myself in that specific way, but I couldn't believe how much more quickly I was able to bring myself back to a calm state, embrace my symptoms associated with that attack, and move forward. I told myself, my symptoms do not define me. Now, I wouldn't wait to utilize this method like I did. Allow yourself this type of self-affirmation on a regular basis and set yourself up for success. Success looks differently for a lot of people. For me, I thought in order to have success, I needed to schedule out every single part of my day and be as productive as possible. But in reality, the anxiety to accomplish that was self-sabotage and caused more guilt. Routines are very effective for some people, but for some, having a little less structure and having a little bit more fluidity in your day can help you be more successful. It's all about finding the balance that's right for you. It wasn't until I found that balance in my plan that I was actually more productive, because I was intentional as well as mindful. Now, you can set yourself up with a plan and preparation. And this is a good segue into meal planning. You've all heard of meal prepping, and that can be super helpful. But I think taking a step back and just starting with a plan can help eliminate otherwise unhealthful, spontaneous decisions, especially when we go back to work and school. How many of you get to your lunch break and realize you didn't plan, prep, or pack a lunch? and now you're starving. You're a 1 or a 2 on the hunger scale because you waited until your lunch break to eat, and you only have 30 minutes. So generally, it's where's the nearest drive-through, or who can deliver food the fastest. And it's often not the healthiest choice. At home, it might be what's the first thing I can see in the pantry. Planning out a menu for both meals and snacks for at least a week at a time can help relieve stress for everyone in the family and reduce trips to the grocery store, which we have to do anyway right now, and it can also save money. It can also be great for getting the whole family involved in an activity. Kids should be a part of this process. Every week, we've been providing our Tiny Tigers, Little Dragons, and Be Kids classes with weekly nutrition tips. The tip we shared 2 Saturdays ago was to have the kids get involved. That involvement leads kids to be more adventurous with trying new foods and getting a better variety. So how do we do this? First, we need to identify what you have. Check the refrigerator, the freezer, the pantry for foods that need to be used up. Leftover meats and vegetables can easily be transformed into meals like soups or used as toppings for tacos, salads, and pasta. My husband and I pretty much clean out the fridge at the end of each week with a big batch of nachos, using up that half a bell pepper, quarter of a tomato, onion, leftover grilled chicken, etc. Ideally, we want to plan to have a protein, starch, and fruits or vegetables at each meal and snack, but during this time, that may not be feasible in the way that you did it before. You may have to rely on what's shelf stable because you're not going to the grocery store every week. So keep shelf stable products on hand, such as dried or canned beans, peas, and lentils, canned vegetables with no added salt, dried or canned fruit in 100% juice, whole grains such as brown rice, quinoa, oats, and whole wheat pastas. You can even use pouches or cans of fish and chicken, nuts, seeds, and nut butters, olives, olive oil, canola oil, avocado oil, and dried herbs and spices. Now, 2 tips for using these shelf-stable products are: make sure you rinse all your canned beans and vegetables to remove any excess sodium, even the ones that say no added salt. And when it comes to utilizing those dried herbs and spices, make sure you check the expiration dates. We can keep those in our pantry for a long time. And not that I think they really go bad, but after the expiration date, they generally lose some of their potency and flavor. So you may not get the effect you were looking for, and this can sometimes lead to going back to that salt shaker. Many of these pantry stable items, especially when they're paired together, are full of protein, fiber, and healthy fats that can help you stay satisfied for longer periods of time. Frozen foods often get a bad rap. Society tells us we need to buy fresh and organic, but frozen are also a great choice, and fresh and organic may not be realistic. Frozen fruit and vegetables are picked at the peak of freshness and flash frozen to sustain the nutrients. So keep frozen fruit and vegetables with no added sugar, salt, or sauces on hand. You can also purchase whole wheat breads and doughs frozen, and definitely fish and seafood. When planning, consider foods that you can perhaps make in bulk that freeze well. Casseroles, soups, chilies, muffins can be frozen for 2 to 3 months, and you can pre-portion. Now, you might be thinking these are heavy comfort foods. Well, right now I think we could use a little extra comfort, but you can also swap in some healthier ingredients, such as cauliflower for replacing some of the grains, or perhaps cutting your pasta portion in half and subbing squash noodles for the rest. Now, fun fact, these particular vegetables still contain carbohydrates. When you're planning for the week, base it on what you already have and then make a list of what you need. Having that plan can help you make those better decisions and also limit what goes to waste. The kids will also have an idea of what's going to be in the house, and they can plan out their own lunches and snacks too. And if you do have extra time right now, you might want to go as far as prepping and making meals ahead of time, keeping them in the refrigerator or freezer, or having pre-portioned snacks. So when you do decide that you're truly hungry, you eliminate the need for stressful decisions and poor choices. I discussed before that if you have a craving for something, perhaps you're not getting enough fuel for your body with a balance of the different variety of nutrients. If, however, you do find yourself craving something that's not on the plan and you have it in the house, it is okay to satisfy that craving. Ignoring your cravings and restricting can actually lead to a binge cycle. And this is what I was referring to before when I mentioned the disordered eating. Perhaps you're really craving ice cream. Maybe pair a half cup of ice cream with fresh fruit that you need to use up, or nuts and dried fruit from the pantry. This can help keep your portion controlled and provide you with additional nutrients. Adding that additional protein and fiber can also help keep you fuller so you won't be craving a second helping. So we've built self-awareness, we've connected with our bodies, we understand our hunger and fullness cues, we've set goals, we're tracking our habits, and are confident in our abilities to make positive changes, and now we have some plans in place. So now let's be mindful. What is mindful eating? Well, just like the slide says, it's being here and now. It means being intentional about eating, reducing distractions. Now, we're at home and you may have kids at home or younger siblings, and distractions may be a little hard to reduce. But there's a lot of decisions that we make on autopilot. Now, Brian Wansink, PhD and author of Mindless Eating, Why We Eat More Than We Think, said, it's really easier than we think to let small things around us, such as plate size, package size, those people around us, and other distractions influence these 200 plus decisions that we make a day because we're not aware of them in the first place. From taste testing while you're baking to grabbing second helpings and noshing while you watch this week's episode of your favorite show can account for a lot of calories, sugar, and unhealthy fats that you're unaware of. So here are some other strategies to help you identify situations where you consume excess calories and how to set yourself up for success. One is plate your main course in the kitchen. Keep your entree and side dishes in the kitchen. Keeping them off the table allows you to linger over conversation without temptation. Take this time to encourage positive family conversation. If you feel like you get less than the recommended servings of produce daily, perhaps you'll want to leave the vegetable, salad, or fruit out on the table for second helpings. Use smaller plates and tall, skinny glasses. You want to move away from that trend toward dinnerware fit for the giant. A normal sized portion looks ample on a slightly smaller plate, and several studies show that everyone from kids to even longtime bartenders pour less when they're using tall, skinny glasses than wide, squat ones. However, if you're drinking water, you want to get as much as you can. Lastly, don't miss meals. Skipping needed food during the day can leave you authentically hungry at night when your resistance is lower because you're tired. If you're having trouble finding time for breakfast, settle on 1 or 2 morning meals or snacks that you can eat on the run or set up the night before. If you find yourself skipping an afternoon snack, try bringing one from home so that it becomes a no-brainer. These are just a few of the mindful eating techniques that we teach, but there are so many more. As we've discussed, improving your nutrition and wellness really is based on our behaviors that surround eating and not just what we're eating. This mindfulness can also translate into your self-care, the third key to wellness. There are a multitude of ways that you can incorporate self-care into your day. To help incorporate self-care, ask yourself these questions. How do I feel today? What am I grateful for? What negative attitudes do I need to change? Who can I reach out to if I need support? And what does a better me feel like? Self-care can be simple, like drinking some herbal tea, taking a bath, breathing deeply, taking in some sunshine, using aromatherapy, or doing your skincare routine. As I mentioned before, exercise has been used in the wrong way. Exercise should be a form of self-care. It's a celebration of what our bodies can do. This change in our lifestyle due to the pandemic has limited our ability to go to the gym and the dojo, and you may have to find new ways to stay physically active in your smaller space at home. For many of you, this may mean that your physical activity has taken a back seat. Now, I would encourage you to check out online videos such as those on the VMMA YouTube channel here, or at least some yoga or other exercises that can keep your mobility and flexibility maintained. Take advantage of these if you can. Maybe it's time to try something new and find a new hobby like drawing or painting. If you are a little less active, you do want to make sure that you're still staying hydrated.
Hi guys, Alexa again. So we reviewed earlier how important water is. You want to keep drinking it before, during, and after your training, and you need about half your body weight in fluid ounces. There is substantial research that shows that dehydration of just 3 to 4% of your needs causes a reduction in muscle strength, muscle power, and high intensity endurance. And that just scratches the surface on the ways your body suffers if you are dehydrated. Some tips for hydration that can help you are to keep replacing fluids early and often during and after activity, especially on those hot days or in hot environments. Drink other fluids besides water, such as sports drinks, coconut water, juices, soups, smoothies, and fruits and vegetables, so that these can help you stay hydrated too. And you may all have heard this trick, but monitor your urine color prior to training to make sure that you are hydrated. Clear to pale yellow is what you want to see. Even with those general recommendations that I gave you, fluid needs are highly individualized. An RD can help calculate your sweat rate and help you develop a hydration schedule to make sure you are getting what you need.
This is a problem for a lot of us, even outside of the quarantine. Dehydration can lead to additional fatigue, confusion. We definitely don't want that right now, and other health conditions, as Alexa mentioned before. If you have trouble getting enough water in addition to the suggestions Alexa gave, try putting frozen fruit in your water bottle to help flavor the water, or try brewing some decaffeinated green tea. Limit the caffeinated beverages where you can, which can actually work against your hydration because they are often natural diuretics. This is a big one for me. I feel like all I'm doing is going back to the coffee machine to make another cup during this time, which can also lead to additional calories too if you're used to putting creamer and sweetener in your coffee. These things add up. So how else can you implement some self-care? Here are some more mindful tips that we can offer. Is your head spinning at night, causing you to not be able to fall asleep or stay asleep? Try what I like to call a brain dump. Keep a notebook and pencil next to your bed and literally take everything out of your head and put it on that paper. This can also help set you up with a to-do list for the next day. Meditation. Train your mind to focus on the present, the here and now. Definitely give your body the rest and relaxation it needs. Listen to your body. It will tell you when you need rest. and make time for those hobbies. Like I said, try something new or incorporate activities that you enjoy. Lastly, I want to say that it is important to remember to make yourself a priority. We are spending so much time taking care of and worrying about others that we often forget about our own needs. You're worth it. And you can't give 100% to others or your studies or your activities if you don't feel 100%. So take this time to implement some self care habits. You don't have to feel selfish about taking care of yourself. Remove the clutter of guilt and allow yourself to feel the physical sensations and enjoyment that you derive from eating and getting self care. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope that it was beneficial for you. If you have any questions for us, this is how you can reach us. Our main office is on Main Street in Emmaus. Obviously, we are also located inside VMMA's dojo. Currently, we are doing virtual visits right now as we continue our stay at home. If you have questions, you can email us at info@liveempowered365.com or give us a call or visit our website. Okay, so thank you again so much for joining Coach Alexa and myself for this presentation of the 3 keys to nutrition and wellness. We wanted to just talk a little bit about the services that we offer. As I mentioned just a few seconds ago, we are available virtually right now. We do offer a 6-month package that is specifically designed to guide you towards self-growth with sustainable solutions for reaching and maintaining your goals. Our approaches, tools, and consistent support are meant to guide our clients not just toward healthier eating, but an overall healthy lifestyle for mind and body. Every new client that we have will receive a free 20 to 30-minute discovery session, and we do accept health insurance to cover your visits. So please give us a call or email us if you're interested in reviewing, if you have questions or you would like to participate in a discovery session. We look forward to helping you achieve your goals and managing your wellness and lifestyle. Thank you so much, everyone.